It's variety.
Today, for change, I actually have two guests. I have Alex Larke and Alex Larke, which is slightly confusing when you're saying those two names.
It is a bit.
Because they're quite similar, but I think that's right. Better known on stage as Keith Ripoff and Mick Jagger. So you can probably guess by now that they are from the premier Rolling Stones tribute act, the Rolling Clones. Now, they've worked together for well over a decade, and they capture the swagger, the sounds, the smells even of the Rolling Stones, and with an energy and a chemistry which is uncanny, I feel, largely because they've known each other for such a long time, both on stage and just as friends.
Maybe too long.
Maybe too long. Get to see that. They are huge Stone fans. However, I know that where they fall down in their sort of representation of the Rolling Stones is in their post-gig celebrations. So they are not ones for Jack Daniels or drugs, or so they tell me. I could be lying. But they tend to celebrate with cups of tea post-gig.
Oh, I do love a tea.
Exactly. They
love a tea at work.
So I'm glad to introduce to this podcast Alex and Aaron. Let me start with you, Aaron. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Hatfield with my mum and stepdad. Music was, just a part of our daily life, really.
So were either of them musicians or?
My sister played guitar. Yeah, she taught me, my older sister, she taught me probably my first few chords before I decided to take it further. And I started having lessons at school. I got kicked out of lessons at school.
That's always a good sign. Why did you get kicked out?
My dad bought me a Teach Yourself the Rolling Stones book.
Oh, at that age?
And,
how old were you then?
I was 11, and at the weekend I'd gone to his house, and instead of learning what I was supposed to learn, which I think was something like Yankee Doodle or
a classic Rolling Stones track.
And instead I came back and I'd learnt the riff to satisfaction, and I got kicked out because it was council funded. And they told me I couldn't have free lessons anymore.
Not a lot of foresight. So what about you, Alex?
Well, so weirdly enough, I'm from the next town over from Aaron, which is Welwyn Garden City, but we didn't know each other at all, despite being quite similar ages and moving in very similar circles. And we've spoken about this before, but I was really late to the music thing. I was more into racing.
Racing?
So while Aaron was
horse racing, car racing,
cars and bikes, and I was a go-karter, and right up until the age I was 16, we were touring the country and we were racing competitively. And my very last race was against a young upstart called Jenson Button.
He did quite well for himself.
Yeah, he did all right.
Yeah.
He
wasn't such a good musician, though.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to ask him.
You might have to ask him.
His girlfriend was Jessica. Yeah,
we'd ask her.
I knew his fiance. I don't know if they're still together now, but she was a musician.
See? The 3 degrees of separation.
I know, that's weird, right?
That is weird.
So was that sort of, you had intended that as a sort of career?
I think in my head, probably. I probably should have known I wasn't really good enough. I was prone to, as I still am now, lapses in concentration.
Which is not the best thing if you're driving quite fast.
No, and there was frequent high-speed accidents where I would take other people out. And I think I got to 16, I don't know what changed, and I just it suddenly became girls. That's what changed. It became girls, and then I imagine trying to impress girls, which then became
crashing go-karts.
Crashing go-karts wasn't it, apparently.
But music was.
But being a singer in a band was the way forward from that point, and then everything just changed.
So did you play an instrument as well?
I played guitar, but functionally, so I could write songs. It never, again, these lapses in concentration meant that I just couldn't stick with it, and I still haven't mastered the bar chord, as Aaron can attest.
I can confirm that, yeah.
So you were about 14, 15, you were sort of the same age-ish, 16, 17?
I was 11 when I started gigging.
That early?
Yeah, 6 months after my first guitar lesson, I did my first gig.
Actually, could we see that first picture? This is you.
That's my first. So that's my first Telecaster I'm holding there.
Wow.
And I'm wearing a Rolling Stones t-shirt. Under that shirt is a Voodoo Lounge.
Under that lovely shirt.
Under that lovely, pretty shirt. Under that exquisite haircut, I'm wearing a Voodoo Lounge tour
How
t-shirt.
old do you think you were then?
I think I would have been maybe 12.
Okay.
13.
But you were already gigging. You were already,
I'm already gigging.
You were already gigging.
Yeah.
Where were you gigging?
So my dad is the reason for gigging. I would have just carried on playing guitar, but I didn't realise I wanted to play live until I stood up in front of family kind of a couple of times. And then my dad got me my first gig at a steam engine rally in Little Wymondley, I think it was. Knew somebody, got me on the stage in one of the beer tents. I did 3 songs. They were the only 3 songs I knew. And when they asked me to encore, I did the same 3 songs again because I didn't know any other songs. And that was it. I was in then, and he would get me little support slots for
that's amazing.
Irish bands or whoever. It was a great band, local band called Gorgeous Rex, and they used to let me kind of do like a half-hour set, before they started or while they had a break, and it just went from there, really. I'd expressed I wanted to do it, so he pushed it and got me gigs wherever we could, anywhere.
And what about your first gig, Alex?
So I was quite a bit later. So my first gig, I was about 20.
Can we just see one of Alex's pictures?
This would have been around that.
Is this from his OnlyFans?
Look at that.
Oh, it's not his OnlyFans one.
So
okay.
In that picture, as was the normal there. So I had the preconception about what the rock and roll lifestyle was about, and I am doing me inverted fingery thing. For me, it was look how gaunt I was. That it was sex, drugs, rock and roll, and I am smoking while singing. I'm drinking. It was, and in hindsight, and we'll obviously get on to how we live now. It was just kind of worlds apart, and actually, until you've made all your money, it's ridiculous because it completely removes your. I mean, we worked hard, but it kind of the focus is detracted from what you should be doing, which is making music, performing and honing your craft. Yet, you think, oh, this is what all the bands do. Yeah, they've all made it, good, So, I'd wanted to do it from 16, and it took me 3 years to find people that wanted to be in a band with me. I probably couldn't sing all that well, and I was quite an abrasive character.
We were talking about this earlier. We feel like bands, like the Britpop kind of start, all of a sudden, I mean, I remember going from being a guitar player and that not really being particularly cool, and then all of a sudden, Blur, Oasis, Pulp, and all these bands are happening, and then everyone's like, "Oh wait, you play guitar?" Well, yeah, I've been gigging for like 3 years now. I don't really cared at this point. Yeah.
Hello.
And then all of a sudden, being in a band was the thing, and everybody wanted to be in a band, and being able to find those people, certainly in our area, it kind of took off, I think.
So tell me then about, you've already touched upon it, your relationship with the Rolling Stones. How did that start?
I love the Rolling Stones with all of my heart. Yeah, that came from my dad. My first Rolling Stones concert was Wembley Stadium, and I would have been 8.
And you remember that as though it was yesterday?
My dad, I specifically. So by that point, he'd already taken me to Nelson Mandela's birthday thing at Wembley. I'd been to Nebworth when Pink Floyd were playing. But I remember being at the Stones. The cigarettes smelt different. The people looked different. There was a different kind of atmosphere. And the power that came off the stage from these, as you say earlier, the chemistry of these guys playing together.
Old fellas, as they were considered at the time.
Even then, they were considered at the time.
Like early 40s?
Right?
Hilarious.
Exactly. So you've got this band and all of these songs. The Stones are a genre of their own. It's a blend of country music, rock and roll music, blues music. There's reggae in there, which they love. They loved Motown. And there's all of these things kind of come together to produce Brown Sugar, Honky Tonk Woman. And hearing those songs, we were quite close to the front, which you could in those days without spending
Fortune, yeah.
A fortune. And seeing them was just, I remember it just being the most captivating thing. And Alex and I were talking about this earlier, about how that period for the Rolling Stones was kind of album tour in reasonably quick succession, much quicker than they do now. It felt like it was exciting. There was something happening all the time. I couldn't wait to learn the new songs whenever a new album came out.
Interesting. And what about you and your experiences of the Stones?
For me, it was slightly different, and I was always kind of on the periphery. My mum loved the Rolling Stones, and she had several of their vinyls. She's Greek, so she bought these vinyls in Greece, and it's funny because, she's 80 this year. She was 80 this year. But the Stones were kind of a really big deal in Greece, and she moved over here in 1970 and they were a big deal. And I remember, and we've still got it, and I nicked it. She had a cassette, and it was one of, after the Stones had left Decca and they'd fallen out with Alan Klein, the manager, they would just pump out all these compilations, and there was one called Stone Age. And I always remember it, and this cassette, and I was absolutely obsessed by it, and I would play it over and over and over and over. It was just the early stuff, really, and it had like covers of My Girl on it, which I thought was their song for years. I was adamant that was their song.
Because they did like Under the Boardwalk and stuff like that.
All that's on there. All that's on there. So I was like, well, these are their songs, because they did, they took these songs and they kind of reintroduced them to an audience at that time. But for me,
so
it
were
was
they
the first time
I
hearing
presume
them.
they were like the Beatles a bit, in as much as they wrote stuff and covered stuff, didn't they?
Yeah, like the Beatles, but better.
So that's so I'm a
Can I just say,
okay. So actually,
my mum hates the Beatles. My mum hates the
Let's touch
Beatles.
upon that, because I've always preferred the Beatles to the Stones. So
Okay, should we?
So,
Are we going?
Done?
so okay, briefly, without us getting into too much, why would you say the Stones are better than the Beatles?
So to me, and this is, I realise this, if there is a comment section for this podcast, I'm going to take some heat for this. To me, the Beatles wrote pop songs and jingles, and the Rolling Stones wrote Gimme Shelter, Honky Tonk Woman. There was an edge to the Rolling Stones that the Beatles simply didn't have. You can't deny the craftsmanship of Beatles songwriting and melodies, comparable to, like the Everly Brothers and stuff like that. But the Rolling Stones had something entirely different. And I think you can take the Rolling Stones as the catalyst for the edgier rock, what was rock and roll, which became rock afterwards. You can trace all that back to the Rolling Stones, and then Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, and the Muddy Waters and the guys who came
And it's
before
interesting,
that.
actually, because I had Basil Mead in as a guest. He's founded the London Community Gospel Choir. It's very interesting how genres of music, where it all starts, because the influence of gospel on rock and roll, and, it is huge. Everything comes out of everything, I suppose, at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And I think there is a clear lineage. You can trace the roots of that back all the way back to, from Muddy Waters, and then before Muddy Waters, Son House, Robert Johnson. And
also, the Stones were a live band. You got the Beatles stopped touring in, 1965?
So one of the things, I suppose, the Rolling Stones still exist as a band.
They still exist. They are still a band, and the Beatles haven't been a band since 1970.
It makes you wonder, I suppose, what they would have done. But I mean, when you look,
still think their songs are better, but never mind.
Oh my God. I don't know how to help you, Adam, to be honest.
So tell me then how you both met then.
Listen, I can tell you how I joined this band, and then Eric can tell you how he joined this band, because that is the story of how we met.
Yeah.
So my story was that when I was in bands, the local press would come out and they would, they'd write articles, and they, in one particular article, described me as, because I would, I was very active on stage. I was, bouncing around and doing my thing. But they described me as a modern day Mick Jagger. And I always remember that. And that for me always sat in my head. And when that band was long gone, and I decided I had to get a normal job, and I ended up being a recruitment consultant.
So you did get a 9-to-5 job?
Briefly.
As a recruitment consultant?
Yeah.
Badly.
I hated it.
Did you ever have a normal job?
I still have a normal job, actually. Yeah, I do. I do still have a normal job.
We'll get to normal jobs in a moment. Anyway, I hated recruitment. I hated working for people, still hate working for people. And I had a particularly, and I remember this vividly, and I was sat in the office and I hated it, and I hated everyone around me, and I wished them all dead, and still do.
I suspect the feeling was
if
mutual.
you're watching this, I still do.
Yeah.
And just that modern day Mick Jagger thing just popped in at my head, and I was sat on the computer at work, and it was 2007, right at the beginning of, or the early 2007, and I just went, I wonder if a Rolling Stones tribute band's looking for a Mick Jagger. In a search, and there was a website called Star Now, and it popped up, and lo and behold, the Rolling Clones had put an advert on that day looking for a Mick Jagger, and I was like, that's ridiculous.
Did they find one in the end, or?
I don't think they did. It's a shame. And good luck to you if you're out there, Rolling Clones.
Yeah, I really hope they find one.
I hope
one
you
day.
find one. A good one, anyway.
A good one, yeah.
I signed up to it, and they were based down in Bristol. I was at that time living in Cumbria. Bunked a couple of days off work and went down I remember doing a video, which I've still got somewhere, an audition video in my bedroom, doing Satisfaction. I'll have to dig that out one day.
I'd love to see that.
You've never seen it. You're never seen it. The world can see that, not you. Yeah, and I got the job. They, sorry guys, weren't great. And it remained that way until they all left. And then we put an advert out looking for a Keith Richards.
Oh, did you get one?
Sadly, not yet.
Not a good one yet. It's still
Sadly,
looking.
not yet.
Yeah.
No, whatever it is, 12 years there, 10 years on, no.
13 years.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
13
Time
years.
flies when you're having fun.
Uh,
It's a big step, though, isn't it? Joining a tribute band. I mean, it's.
I'd never even. I'd never considered it.
No.
I was doing pub gigs, playing, working. I'd done some session work as a slide player, which I really enjoyed. And as I started to think I would like to get more session work, I registered on Star Now to see what I could get. And all I ever got was cruise ship work and stuff like that, which was no good to me. I was only looking for short-term stuff as I had a full-time job. I remember being in my van, opening the email from Star Now, which would have 1,000 jobs on it, flicking it by mistake got all the way to the bottom and saw Rolling Stones Tribute 6 Keith Richards, my hero. Like, I had a Keith Richards Telecaster, replica. I had the amp. I was missing the headband at the time, I think, but that was two separate things. I loved Keith and I loved the Rolling Stones, and I'd learnt to play as much of Keith's style as I could absorb, but I'd never thought about doing it as a tribute. And I even remember calling up, and I think Dan took the phone call, and I remember him saying to me that, I could come and audition. And I said, great. And he said, do you want me to give you some songs to learn? And I just went, no, don't worry about it. I'll see you. And when I got to yours for the audition, you said to me, well, you didn't ask for any songs to learn, so you must be pretty confident. And I remember thinking, well, I didn't even think about it. I know all the songs. And I said something flippant like, well, I can play Jumping Jack Flash 4 different ways. Like, which version of it do you want? Because to me,
I've got a vague recollection of that.
So, like, the record.
And me going,
What a clever, yeah.
what?
Yeah.
What a
Yeah, you can use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can cut it.
what a cock.
Yeah.
Flash. Isn't he?
I just, to me, that was, like,
I was probably impressed.
I remember,
Being silly.
and I remember we were at Alex's house. Alex was there. His future wife was there. Dan, who's the guitar player who plays Ronnie Wood for us. I felt like I played and no one said anything for like half an hour. And I remember thinking, well, I don't know what else they kind of want to hear. And you saying that I think you'd had a few applicants. And at that point, I mean, I know I'm a Keith fan and I know I've learned the stuff properly, but I always assume that everybody else is doing it better. So I just thought, well, okay, well, we'll just, see what happens. And then, yeah. Now I'm the resident Stones nerd for the Rolling Clones.
He is.
So when you perform as the Rolling Clones, are you acting as much as are you taking on the persona?
Yeah.
Not just the voice. I mean, the whole persona.
Yeah, it's a character piece, and it has to be because you've got the two, and I will say that Keith's a frontman. You've got the two greatest frontmen, out there. Keith is playing guitar, but when you're thinking of the Rolling Stones, go through any parody of the Rolling Stones, and it's always Mick-and-Keith.
Mick,
it's always Mick and
Keith, yeah.
And then of course you've got Ronnie, Charlie, and the bass player who left. Sorry, Bill. Yeah, you are. You're. Once the costume's on, there's a lot of tongue in cheek when it comes to the in between the songs, and we're a bit gratuitous with kind of Mick and his Mars bars and Keith and the heroin, or whatever it is, in between songs, you're kind of aping it, is a little bit of the Stella Street or whatever.
Well, they've become caricatures of themselves,
of course
haven't they? Really now?
Well, they have. Yeah, they are.
I mean,
they were on Spitting Image, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, they were. Of course they were. Again,
they've gone from anti-establishment to
to
establishment.
establishment.
And absolutely. And now look at how much the Americans love the Rolling Stones. They've completely acceptable there was a time when the Rolling Stones they might not have been able to travel to America. They might not have gotten visas. And yet
now they probably could.
Mick still gets pulled into the room because
Mick says he still gets taken through the naughty door.
Still goes through the naughty door and has to have the interview when he goes to the States.
I don't know if he gets the glove. I don't know if he gets the glove now. I think the funny thing, when you say about what you're doing on stage, I think for Alex has to become the greatest frontman entertainer in the world, who took everything that James Brown had to offer and amplified it by 100. When you're playing Keith, you're then trying to mimic a man who hates patterns. He won't play anything the same way twice. He won't play the first verse the same way he plays the second verse, and he won't play that the same the way as he plays it the following night. So then you're trying to learn how to play like somebody and then how to improvise like somebody.
So because that was going to be my next question, was that you would imagine, because you're doing this and because the repertoire is ready, you would get bored after a while because you're doing the same music. But from what it sounds like, you are reinventing each night.
And I think as well that, I'm sure people do tributes for other bands that, I don't know, maybe there's a lot of ballads. Maybe if you were an Adele tribute, I don't think you would be a very good Adele tribute, personally.
Why?
But listen, I'd love to see you in a dress.
There will be a point.
Why do you limit me?
Right? There's a glass ceiling. I think that's it. But what I mean is the Rolling Stones is party music. So every gig that you do is about a party and a good time. It's music that people dance to. So how can you not get off on people having a great time every night? Sure, you're playing the same songs, but when you're in a live,
it's not just songs. You're creating energy every night.
Those songs create that energy.
And that's different. It's not. Some of the songs you like more than others. Some you have to do because people will crucify you if you don't. But they're very few and far between, and generally
and
you
it's
find
chemistry.
Do you get? I presume you play, and there must be equal Stones nerds in the audience. Do you ever get people going up to you and saying, "Well, I don't think you would have done it that way," or "I think you played"?
Some people try, and they have been corrected. Because
I've had some excellent compliments, actually, and in fact, to me, if somebody comes up at the end of the night and says, "Oh, wow, I think you did a really good," or "I think you were a really good Keith," or I remember some guy coming up to me. Keith has always done this thing where he turns his back on the crowd and he goes to the drum kit where Charlie always was, and that relationship that they've always had. Whereas as performers, you're taught, don't turn your back on the crowd, right? But that's something that Keith's always done, so I always do it. And I had someone come up to me, "I noticed that you," and I love that. If someone says, "Oh, I noticed the ring or the bracelet," or "I noticed you wore that," I've had people come up to me afterwards to say, "Oh, we saw the Stones last year and he was wearing that same outfit," and I get a real kick out of that.
Or "You look like Keith."
Not as much.
That happens all the time.
My wife doesn't like that.
Apparently she does.
But we're lucky as well. We've got a band that we all get on really, really well with. So you're playing you're playing the greatest music in the world. We're surrounded by fantastic musicians. We all get on.
And friends.
Yeah, we all get on like brothers. I mean, it's silly, really.
Yeah, we are very silly.
Yeah.
As you might.
And you get to do that, and then someone pays you for it. I mean, I can't imagine being any luckier than that, to do that.
And in terms of the type of gig, have you done big gigs, big sort of, I don't know, stadium, or big more than just...
Yeah.
That Calais one was...
Calais was huge.
Mental.
Calais Town Square. and it was paid for by the French government. So they put this whole thing on, and it was full. I mean, I couldn't see the end of the crowd.
It was weird. It was this
Bucharest?
huge square, and then suddenly the French were playing football against Argentina.
Oh yeah,
and they won.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, everyone descended into
thousands of people,
thousands.
This huge stage that is a permanent fixture. And is closed down when not being used. Yeah, it's amazing. We've been very spoiled.
Yeah, we've been all around the world, and that's just incredible.
Yeah,
we're very, very, very lucky.
And you got us some gigs as well, Adam, which we really appreciate.
Only one or two.
Yeah. Do you find so
enough.
obviously you play internationally?
Yeah.
Do different countries have different reactions?
I think the Stones is pretty translatable everywhere. Okay, so you have to be perhaps a little careful on the Middle East ones. Perhaps there are some...
But you've done Middle East ones. So in terms of language or in terms of costuming or...
Language and song choice you have to be a little kind of careful of. But other than that, I think it's pretty universal.
It's pretty universal, yeah. I mean, the Europeans are equally bonkers. I mean, actually, even within the UK, you find that crowds are different. The English tend to be quite reserved and they'll sort of hang back a little bit to start with, whereas you'll go to Scotland and they'll just be insane from you just walk out and then it's just insanity from there on in. So, theater we have gigs. Our own little... and theatre gigs.
Theatre gigs are kind of strange as well, aren't they?
You do your first one and everyone's sat down and you get to the end of it and think, God, they hate me.
Yeah. And
they're not allowed to move.
Sat there like quietly clapping in between each song and you have to kind of encourage them going, no, it's like, I know we're in a theatre. It's not a play. You can get up and enjoy yourself. And then some theatres tell us off for telling people to get up and dance.
No, health and safety.
They don't like
health
that.
And safety.
Yeah.
So the band's been going for a long time. Has it changed?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I think it's unrecognisable from before you joined to your period to when I joined and then from us together onwards.
So how's it changed whilst you've been in it together?
So for my tenure before... So what year did you start? So I started in 2007.
I've been here 13 years.
So it'd already been going 10 years by the time that I joined, and it was a cabaret band. That's the only way to describe it. It was kind of like the tongue-in-cheek stuff, but that was throughout. That was, whereas we're a little bit tongue-in-cheek in between, the song part is serious. You are, if I'm not
driving that song, you're trying.
Listen, if I've done less than 1,200 calories on a gig, I'm not working hard enough. I'm running, and I am. I will destroy myself to make sure that show's the best it can be. But they were a cabaret band when I joined, and everything was and throughout the songs it was just you'd go, okay, cool. So once that lot were gone, then my favourite period was the 70s. So when Aaron joined, I was like, I really want you to put this Keith wig on. I don't know what happened to that wig. Dreadful thing. Have you got it?
Yeah. I manipulated my way in, got my feet under the table, and then went, right,
we're doing this.
This is what I want to do. As the Stones fan, this is what I want to do.
Because Aaron was right. All the other bands were kind of aping a period. And what we were missing out on was the Stones are a now band and they're a live band now. And we should be doing, obviously we're not as old as they are. But we should, we were kind of taking on from that kind of Steel Wheels onwards, that 1990 onwards. And we became that. We became the Stones live, which is what everyone knows them for now.
Yeah.
They're this tremendous juggernaut that just goes globally. It's still going. Ridiculous.
I think it's whilst it's great to look back at the Stones period in the 70s, I think if you read any of the books of the people that were in and around the band at the time, they would do 2 shows a day, so there'd be a matinee performance, and it would be potluck to what you got. Whereas fast forward to the Stones from kind of, the end of the 70s, early 80s onwards, they become this professional juggernaut.
Yeah, Mick Jagger. I guess the way to look at the Stones now is that Mick is the brains and Keith is the heart, I guess. Keith,
as Keith says, Mick's the role, Keith's the role. You do need 2 push and pull personalities. You do need that. You do need somebody to go to come up with ideas and then chip away at that idea until the final version of it.
And Keith has criticised Mick for being the control freak and all that kind of stuff. The argument is, well, they wouldn't be going if he
they'd
wasn't.
have fizzled out in
Yeah.
the 70s if
You know.
Keith hadn't, if Mick hadn't taken, that kind of control.
Tell me about anything that's gone drastically wrong in a gig. These are always moments that people like to hear
A
about.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, and it's
Well,
funny.
what-
Whenever I ask that question, they
Yeah.
go, "Well, actually, it was last week."
Oh, honestly, yeah.
I've got a good one. The other thing that Aaron brought to the band was when I started the band, I was still drinking heavily on stage. And he turned to me one day and he said, "Listen, I don't know why you're drinking, but if the music and all of this isn't enough for you, I can't help you." And I went,
for me,
"Oh."
doing it at
So-
work wasn't
So I stopped. From that point on, I was like, and I never drank on stage again. But before Aaron joined, I remember doing somewhere around here, Mottcombe Street Party. Sorry if you're listening, another one. And I was very drunk, and I actually fell off the front of the stage, crashed on the floor, and the guy that played Bungle on Rainbow, so the guy that dressed up in the bear suit, had to pick me up off the floor and dust me off. So yes, it does go wrong sometimes. Thank you, Bungle.
Did you cuddle Bungle? What happened? Did you and Bungle go out after? Or
I presume he wasn't dressed as Bungle at that moment.
He was afterwards.
Did you make him put that?
I made him put it all on.
Yeah, I bet you did.
So stuff. Of course it does. Invariably, stuff goes wrong and stuff blows up, and amplifiers don't work, and people get ill, and you can't sing. And
we had one last week where somebody had hit the fire alarm by mistake, which killed the PA system.
Yeah.
So Alex and we grabbed an acoustic guitar and went out and played in the crowd instead for a bit.
Just sung at them.
Yeah.
Sung at them. So yeah, you just
against their will.
Yeah, that was. They were like, "Let us out." No.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's been very interesting so far. I think at this stage, we're going to take a short break because we're going to go back to the teach me something phase.
Nice.
So if you can
take our clothes off.
Take all your clothes off.
Now it's a party, right?
Done.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
It's variety.
Great. Now, welcome back. As you might notice, some changes have occurred in the short interval that we weren't here. This is a section where my guests try and teach me something. So what are you going to teach me?
There is a saying about old dogs, but we'll try our best, won't we, Keith?
How about a song, eh?
A song? That seems to make sense.
All right, we're going to do
Beatles. No, sorry.
Jesus Christ. Now listen here, Sternberg. Right, what you're going to do, we're going to do a bit of Honky Tonk Women, all right?
Yeah.
Do you think you could do just about get on with the chorus for that?
Possibly. I don't need to be
It's a honky tonk women. Gimme the honky tonk blues. All right?
Yeah.
So I'll do the verse and you're going to join in for the chorus, all right?
Okay.
I met a Jenson Ballroom queen in Memphis. She tried to tell me upstairs for a ride. She had to hear me right across her shoulder. Well, I just can't seem to bring it out my mind. It's the chorus now, you ready?
Yes.
It's a honky tonk women. You got it. Go on. That's it. Give me the honky tonk blues. Not bad. All right.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah?
Well,
Do you want
I
a
thought
job?
you were pretty good. Well, yeah. What are you doing at the weekend?
Yeah. Hang on. Would you like this wig?
no.
Do you want to try on the coat?
I'll try the wig.
Yeah.
Go on in.
It doesn't smell at all.
It doesn't smell at all.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's regularly cleaned.
Regularly washed.
Okay. Oh, let me take my glasses off.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, there you are. It's
What
taking
did
you.
I do with my lips?
Well, you got to pucker them a little
It's the
bit.
new Mick-and-Keith, isn't it?
All right, you got to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
You got, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you fuck off, Alex?
Fair enough.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. Just remind me again, how many years have you been doing this for?
So I've been in the Rolling Clones for 13 years now.
And I am in my 18th year. I've gone past 18 years now, yeah.
And you still have no end in sight. You will continue for...
This is the golden ticket to play forever, right?
So the thing with the other tributes and especially the Beatles ones is they perform live and they pretend to be guys that broke up when they were in their 20s, and you get these old fellas in wigs. Sorry, Upbeat Beatles, we love you.
We do love the Upbeat Beatles, yeah.
You're really old.
We could do this for another 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what's ridiculous about it. You know, they're going to go on tour next year. Mick-and-Keith will be 84.
Yep.
But in terms of the audience, are young people...
Yeah.
New generation of people getting
definitely. Yeah, the thing with the Rolling Stones is they're an institution now.
The bands you like, you trace back, you go, oh, you know, you hear them in interviews say, oh, my influences were blah, blah, blah. So you always go, oh, let's have a listen to these influences. And the fact that the Stones are still going means they're still relevant. I mean, they're still one of the highest grossing touring acts. And they're in their 80s. They were called old when they were in their early 40s, you know. Oh, these old why are they still touring? Old
Mick Jagger's been asked if he's going to carry on doing it since the late 60s.
You know, how long can this band carry on?
Yeah.
Well, evidently.
The thing that people, I think, forget about the Rolling Stones is they're a blues band. B.B. King played into his 90s until he died. And I think the Stones will do the same thing. I think they will just carry on until, you know, it becomes either untenable. Maybe the whole 3-year world tour thing won't happen anymore. Maybe it will be, you know, a kind of different version of that. But I can't see a world where a living Rolling Stone is not on a stage playing somewhere.
In a way, they have to be doing that, don't they?
I think so.
That's where they
That's
live.
what keeps them alive.
That's what keeps them alive, definitely. You're both obviously successful musicians. I just wondered what advice you'd give to any young person who wants to make a career out of music.
Don't.
I think when you're young, and we were talking about this when we got coffee just before we came in, that when you start, there is you think there is nothing and a world tour. And you think there's nothing in between that, and I think that's fine. That's fine to shoot for that. Everybody should shoot for whatever it is that they're after. But there's a whole world of ways to make money in music, ways to be happy making money in music. And if you're the kind of person that needs to make music to be happy, there are lots of options for you. I never imagined I would be this happy
in a wig.
Unfortunately, I don't have a wig. This is my actual hair. But I never imagined that you know I would end up playing out the rest of my days as Keith Richards in the Rolling Clones.
Yeah, no, it is interesting, and I think part of the point of this podcast is that all the people I've interviewed are very successful performers in their own fields, but are not famous. You know, they all are earning a good living, doing their thing, without being household names. So I think your point is right. And there's lots of ways that people can earn livings being entertainers, being musicians or magicians or circus performers.
Absolutely.
Without feeling that they have to be Taylor Swift or the next Darren Brown or whatever. There are lots of ways if that's what you want to be doing.
We've been very lucky. As Alex said earlier, we've travelled the world and
you've been places you can't you would never in a million years go to, you know. And our job is to, for the most part, bring joy to people. And you can't ask more than that.
And I think actually, probably, that's what all the people I have been speaking to have in common. I think maybe entertainment in general is about
what you leave behind. I mean, you know, you get to your last day and I'll know that thousands of people throughout my life have had a good time because they've come to see what I love to do. Yeah. I mean, how can you not? Yeah. Like, how can you not love that?
Well, on that note, both of you, thank you. It's been an absolute delight.
Let's go take our clothes off.
I'm sorry if I've mispronounced your name for the majority of the interview. Sorry. Yeah, and actually, it's interesting because Aaron, there's lots of pronunciations.
There is, yeah.
Potentially.
You can pronounce it with a C as well.
And Alex, thank you very much as well.
My pleasure.
And it's been a delight.
And thank you for joining the Rolling Clones.
You're,
done.
you're more than welcome. So if you've enjoyed this episode and want to hear more about this podcast, do visit us on our socials on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok. And I have just become part of the Rolling Clones. Thank you and goodbye.